The marble floors gleamed under my mop as I worked quietly in the corner of the grand hall. Around me, volunteers hustled to prepare for tonight's annual animal shelter fundraiser, hanging crystal chandeliers and arranging elaborate flower centerpieces. I kept my head down, methodically cleaning each tile, listening to Amanda Wilson, the shelter's director, bark orders at everyone within earshot. No, 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 the champagne fountain goes by the weest wall. And where are those gold chairs I specifically ordered? Her voice carried that particular tone of superiority I'd grown familiar with over the past 3 months. We have $1 million donors coming tonight. Everything must be perfect. I moved my mop carefully around a stack of chairs, making sure not to splash any water. My simple gray uniform blended perfectly with the background, making me nearly invisible to the frantic volunteers and event planners rushing past. "You there, cleaning lady." Amanda's sharp voice cut through the chaos. I looked up to see her striding toward me, designer heels clicking against the freshly mopped floor. "Once you're done here, the bathrooms need attention. And please use the service entrance from now on. We can't have the help coming through the main doors during the event." I nodded politely, suppressing a smile. "Of course, Ms. Wilson." She paused, scrutinizing my face. "Have we met before? You look familiar." "I've been cleaning here for 3 months," I replied simply. Right. She waved dismissively. "Just make sure everything's spotless. The mayor's coming tonight, and we need to secure that city funding." If only she knew. As I worked, my mind wandered to 6 months ago, when I first visited the shelter. I'd just inherited my grandmother's estate, a fact I'd kept quiet from the public. The shelter had been struggling then, desperately needing renovations and better medical equipment for the animals. I'd spent weeks observing, coming in as a potential volunteer, watching how they treated both the animals and their staff. Amanda had been just as condescending then, though she'd at least bothered to learn my name during the volunteer orientation. That was before I'd started coming in my cleaning uniform, before I decided to really understand how the shelter operated from the ground up. "Hey, careful with that." Amanda's voice rang out again. This time she was scolding a young volunteer who'd nearly dropped a box of wine glasses. "Those cost more than you make in a month." The girl's eyes welled up with tears, her hands shaking as she set the box down. I waited until Amanda stormed off before approaching. "Don't let her get to you," I said softly, helping steady the box. "Some people forget their humanity when they think they have power." The girl, whose name I'd read Sophie, gave me a grateful smile. "Thanks, I'm just trying to help the animals, you know. But sometimes it feels like this place cares more about impressing donors than actual animal welfare." "Things will change," I assured her, returning to my mop. By late afternoon, the hall had transformed into a glittering showcase. Crystal glasses sparkled under the chandeliers, elegant table settings awaited the city's elite, and the stage was set for tonight's big announcement. "You need to leave now," Amanda instructed me as I finished the last section of floor. "The guests will start arriving soon, and we can't have cleaning staff around. Use the back door." I gathered my cleaning supplies, heading toward the service entrance as instructed. In my locker, hidden beneath my gray uniform, hung a sleek black evening gown and a small clutch containing my invitation. In 3 hours, the building would light up with my name, announcing the largest private donation in the shelter's history. But more importantly, it would announce a change in leadership and a complete restructuring of how the shelter operated. I smiled, thinking of Amanda's face when she realized the cleaning lady she'd been ordering around was actually Catherine Parker, her new boss and the shelter's primary benefactor. Sometimes the best way to understand how to fix a broken system is to view it from the bottom up. As I left through the back door, I heard Amanda's voice one last time. "Remember everyone, tonight we smile at all costs. These rich donors hold our future in their hands." 3 hours later, I stood in front of my full-length mirror, hardly recognizing myself. The black evening gown hugged my curves perfectly, a far cry from the shapeless gray uniform I'd worn all day. My grandmother's pearl necklace graced my neck, and my usually tied back hair now fell in elegant waves around my shoulders. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, my grandmother's longtime lawyer and trusted friend. "Everything's ready. Board members will arrive at 7 p.m. sharp. Ready to give Amanda the surprise of her life?" I smiled, typing back, "See you there." The transformation from cleaning lady to benefactor wasn't just about the clothes. It was about exposing a system that valued appearance over substance, donations over actual care. During my 3 months of undercover work, I documented everything: the misallocation of funds, the poor treatment of staff and volunteers, the corners cut in animal care while money was poured into lavish fundraisers. When I arrived at the shelter, the parking lot was filled with luxury cars. I handed my keys to the valet, the same young man who'd seen me leaving through the service entrance hours earlier. His eyes widened in recognition, but I put a finger to my lips with a wink. Inside, the grand hall buzzed with Seattle's elite. Crystal glasses clinked, jewelry sparkled, and fake laughter echoed off the marble floors I'd mopped that morning. Amanda stood near the entrance, greeting guests in a red designer dress, her smile practiced and perfect. Her eyes slid right past me as I entered. After all, she'd never really looked at me before. Why start now? I watched her fawn over various donors, dropping hints about naming opportunities and tax benefits. Catherine, Marcus appeared at my side, champagne flutes in hand. The board members are all here. They're quite interested in meeting the mysterious benefactor who's been communicating only through me these past months. I accepted the champagne, observing the room. Sophie, the young volunteer from earlier, was serving hors d'oeuvres. She nearly dropped her tray when she saw me, but I gave her a reassuring smile. Ladies and gentlemen, Amanda's voice rang out across the hall. If you'll all take your seats, we have an exciting announcement about the future of our beloved shelter. The guests moved toward their tables. I noticed Amanda had seated herself at the prime table with the mayor and other VIPs. My assigned table was near the back. Clearly, she hadn't made the connection between Catherine Parker, the major donor mentioned in the program, and Catherine Parker, the cleaning lady. For 15 years, Amanda began her speech, I've had the privilege of leading this shelter. Tonight, we're here to secure its future. We have a very special anonymous donor who has pledged a historic contribution. I caught Marcus's eye. He nodded slightly and slipped out of the room. This generous donation, Amanda continued, will ensure that our shelter remains the most prestigious in Seattle. Prestigious, not most effective, not most compassionate. Prestigious. I thought of all the corners cut on medical care while money went to granite countertops and designer furniture for the administrative offices. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. Amanda faltered in her speech. What's happening? She hissed to a nearby staff member. The exterior lights of the building flickered to life, visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The assembled crowd gasped as words appeared, projected in elegant script across the shelter's facade. The Catherine Parker Animal Welfare Center. Below it in smaller text, where compassion meets care. Amanda's face went pale. Her eyes darted around the room, finally landing on me as I stood up. Thank you, Amanda, I said, my voice carrying across the now silent room. But I believe this is my announcement to make. You, she stammered. But you're the cleaning lady. I smiled, walking toward the stage. Yes, I was. The best way to understand a broken system is to experience it from the ground up. The room erupted in whispers as I took the microphone. Sophie, still holding her serving tray, beamed at me from the corner. For the past 3 months, I've worked here as a member of the cleaning staff, I continued. What I saw convinced me that this shelter doesn't just need money. It needs a complete transformation. As of tonight, with the board's approval, I'm not just making a donation. I'm taking over as executive director. Amanda's knees buckled, and she had to grab a chair for support. In the crowd, I saw several board members nodding in approval. They'd seen the documentation Marcus had provided, the evidence of mismanagement and misplaced priorities. The Catherine Parker Animal Welfare Center will be a place where every creature, human or animal, is treated with dignity and respect, I announced, where we value care over appearance, compassion over prestige, and where no one, not even the cleaning staff, is invisible. The room burst into applause. As I stood there, I caught Sophie's eye again and gestured for her to join me. Starting tomorrow, I said Sophie here will be our new volunteer coordinator, because she, like many others, never forgot what this place is really about, the animals. Amanda remained frozen in her chair, her perfectly practiced smile nowhere to be seen. Sometimes the best lessons come when you least expect them, and from people you never bothered to really see. The following morning, I arrived early at the shelter, wearing a simple but professional blue dress. The Catherine Parker Animal Welfare Center sign glowed softly in the dawn light, promising a new beginning. As I approached the main entrance, no more service doors for anyone, I heard familiar voices inside. Amanda was at her desk, hastily packing her personal items into a cardboard box. Her mascara was smeared, her perfectly styled hair from last night now disheveled. "You can't do this," she hissed when she saw me. "I built this place. 15 years of my life." "You built a facade," I replied calmly, setting my bag down. "Would you like to see the numbers? The records showing how much was spent on galas versus actual animal care? Or perhaps the staff turnover rates?" She slumped into her chair. "You don't understand. Those galas brought in the money we needed." "No, you didn't understand," I corrected her. "Real change doesn't come from champagne fountains and crystal chandeliers. It comes from genuine care and dedication." As if on cue, Sophie walked in, carrying a stack of new volunteer applications. "Miss Parker, we've already received 30 new volunteer applications since last night. People are excited about the changes." Amanda watched our interaction with narrowed eyes. "They're only here because of your money." I turned to her. "Actually, they're here because for the first time, they feel this place will truly prioritize animal welfare over social status." "You have two choices, Amanda. You can leave quietly with a decent recommendation, or we can dive deeper into those financial records I mentioned." She stared at me for a long moment before grabbing her box and walking out, her designer heels clicking for the last time on the marble floors. The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. I met with the staff, assuring them their jobs were secure, with raises for those who'd been underpaid. The only significant changes would be in management and priorities. By midday, I was in the kennel area, wearing jeans and a shelter t-shirt, helping volunteers clean cages. The dogs barked excitedly, perhaps sensing the shift in energy. "Miss Parker," one of the veterinary technicians approached, holding a tablet. "I have the supply lists you requested, the things we've needed for months." "Order everything," I said immediately, "and please call me Catherine." As I worked alongside the staff, I shared my vision. The marble floors would be replaced with more practical, pet-friendly surfaces. The elaborate office furniture would be sold, with proceeds going to medical equipment. The monthly galas would be replaced with community adoption events and educational programs. "But what about the donors?" someone asked worriedly. I smiled, scratching behind the ears of a senior dog who'd been at the shelter far too long. "Real donors care about results, not fancy parties. Watch." I pulled out my phone and opened the shelter's new social media page. The first post showed me in my cleaning uniform from yesterday, mopping floors, followed by the revelation at the gala. The caption read, "Change starts from the ground up. Join us in transforming animal welfare." It had already gone viral. By late afternoon, Marcus arrived with more news. "The press loves the story," he reported. "A wealthy heiress working undercover as a cleaning lady to expose mismanagement. It's gold. But more importantly, other shelters are reaching out. They want to implement similar changes." I was checking on a recovering cat when Sophie burst in. "Catherine, you need to see this." She led me to the front where a small crowd had gathered. Among them was Amanda, looking somewhat humbled. "I've been thinking," she said quietly, maybe I could volunteer. Actually work with the animals this time." The room fell silent, waiting for my response. I thought about all the times she'd looked down on others, all the harsh words and dismissive gestures. But I also thought about the message we wanted to send. "Everyone deserves a second chance," I said finally. "You can start this weekend cleaning kennels. Sophie will show you the ropes." As the day wound down, I sat in my office, no longer a showcase of expensive furniture, but a practical workspace with a dog bed in the corner, currently occupied by a three-legged rescue named Max. The shelter's new mission statement hung on the wall, "Where every life has value and every helper has worth." My phone buzzed with another message from Marcus. "Your grandmother would be proud." I looked out at the shelter floor, where volunteers and staff worked together, where Sophie was teaching Amanda the proper way to comfort a nervous dog, where the animals received the care they deserved. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about making things better. And sometimes the people who need the most help aren't just the ones with four legs, but those who've forgotten what it means to serve others. The Catherine Parker Animal Welfare Center would be a testament to that truth. One cleaned kennel, one saved animal, one changed heart at a time.